this thing happen. And without you, this could not happen. So I thank you all for being here. When I found out I was going to be in the Hall of Fame, a couple things passed my mind. The odds of getting in this Hall of Fame are about like playing 9-ball and making the night on the break about 8 times. So that's because there's so many people that are worthy and deserving, and so few getting in. I thought the odds were that great, or getting hit by lightning 2 or 3 times. I would like to thank my son and daughter, LJ and Gina, for coming here. My son is a retired police officer, and now he has in his spare time, which means 2 trucks now, spray washes the outside of buildings and so forth. And money's a lot better than when he's a police officer. And Gina and her son, she changed her flight. Her son is getting in a track tournament in Minneapolis Saturday noon, tomorrow noon, so she has to be back to Mankato, Minnesota, and up to Minneapolis by 1 in the afternoon. So thanks for coming, you guys. I would like to thank 2 wonderful ladies in my life that are gone, Gloria and Carol, for their decades of support. May they rest in peace. And I must thank my friends at the table. Some old friends, Savannah, and oh boy, so much old friends, new friends. You guys are great. Thanks for coming. Going into the Hall of Fame with Dennis Okolo, one of the greatest players of our sport, is mind-boggling. Congratulations, Dennis. If you hear this later on, we all appreciate you and wish you were here. I started playing pool when I was 19. A friend took me to a little billiard room on the Marquette campus. It had 6 tables, 5 9-foot tables, 1 10-foot table. He took me in there 3 or 4 times and I was hooked. I was a golfer in high school. I played above average golf in high school. I was on the team, number 1 man. And I took up pool and I improved real fast. And the owner of that billiard room was a guy by the name of Willis Covington. He was a 100-ball runner, great player. Didn't teach pool at all because there were no teachers back then. There weren't any in America. And there was no place you could go for lessons. So you just learned by the seat of your pants. And so anyway, after I was playing a few months, he had a little tournament for the young people there, 18 to 25 or so, college students. And I was there. And so I got in that tournament. I was in Class C, straight pool. We played 50-point straight pool and 50-point games. And it was a double round robin, so it took 2 months. So I had to play 2 games a week. And after halfway through the tournament, I beat an opponent 50 to 25, and he kicked me out of the tournament. He said, "You may be laying down, nobody improves that fast, but if you want to play, you got to continue in Class B, where I didn't have a chance." And I won Class B. And I was improved very fast. Won my first master stroke cue, $19.95. It was a great cue. And so about 3 years into this little pool hall playing there, Willis Covington had a stroke. And I went to visit him in the hospital, and he said, "Jerry, boy, am I glad you came in. You got to go teach my class at the Y." And I said, "I don't know what I'm doing. Am I going to tell him what to do?" "No, just show him how to stand and hold a cue, make a few balls, he'll be happy." I was scared to death, and I did it. The YMCA had a program. They'd have a 3 Tuesday nights. They got for $7.50. They got half the money, I got half the money. And so this went on. They'd have it 3 weeks. They lay off a month or so, have another one. Lay off a month or so, have another one. And a year later, I had 23 people in the class. YMCA called me in and said, "We're paying you way more than our highest paid attorney." Now it's $28 an hour, okay? And they said, "We're going to give you $7.50 an hour and keep the rest." So the first company I ever got ripped by. Okay? And then after 3.5 years, I ran my first 110 balls on that 5x10 table in less than 4 years. And so then some of the owners in the billiard rooms, I was a state champion by then, a time or 2, and they hired me to teach. I worked for a power company then, Wisconsin Electric Power, in a power plant. And so they had me come in nights when I didn't have to work and give lessons for a couple hours free to their customers. Those are the toughest lessons. You gotta watch somebody, try to pick out something that'll help them in 5 or 10 minutes and do it. Great training. And so I had better and better luck doing that, and it just grew from there. I enjoy doing it. When you see results, that's all you need to try to do it some more. It's just like a personal learning. There's nothing that'll bring a customer back. You can have all the trick shot guys in the world. You teach a guy to play 30% better tonight, he'll be back twice as often. So when you have billiard rooms, give your customers free lessons. And that's what I did. And I opened a room then in '73 in Madison called Qnique, and had 23 tables, so a few bar tables for the leagues, and a billiard table and a 10-foot snooker table. And I gave them all free lessons. And every year they had a sports show in Milwaukee. It was a big show, a huge show, and they had the state pool tournament there. They had set up 6 tables, bleachers for 70, 80 people. It was a part of the show. And every year Milwaukee just dominated those tournaments because their population was 10 times more than Madison. 5 years after I got to Madison, tooting my horn here, 5 years after I got to Madison, Madison dominated every division, men's, women's, kids in that tournament forever. Okay? And still today, a year ago I got a note, a message on my phone from somebody I don't even know, to Jerry. Check out the tournament, and I think it was Eau Claire. First, second, fourth, Qnique, and those guys are 50, 60 years old now. And so that's fun. When you teach somebody a new skill, and it really helps them, you touch that person's life forever. It's just neat feeling you get. It's also fun. Some of the things that happen as a pool instructor. Does anybody remember Guido, the cue repair guy? Guido Orlando. Yes. Guido and I became friends, and he would call me. He was a pool nut. He just was going to buy a new table and a new lamp and everything, and lights. He called me and asked me these 2 questions about 2 weeks apart. Jerry, yes, I got my new table. I measured the distance from the floor to the slate surface, and it's, just, you know, look at a number here. It's 33 inches, should it be 36? And I said, Guido, I think they kind of made it the right height just from the factory. I leave it the way it is. That's kind of question. He was an articulate guy fixing cues too. And then 2 weeks later he called me again, Jerry, I put my new light up. It's 33 inches above the surface, should I make it 36? I said, Guido, somebody bends over the end of the table, hits their head on the light, raise it up. And so then Guido came to Madison for lessons. And it's a 3-day package that I give people. And he said, by the way, do you think we can start early one day and take me to the McDermott plant in Milwaukee? And Jim was a great friend. So I said, sure. So we got done early, took him to Milwaukee, about an hour and a half away. And Guido was a pool nut. I mean, he just was in that learning process. He wanted to know everything there was. So on the way back, we're driving. I got to show this. We're about 10 minutes out of Milwaukee. 15. Guido, he's sitting on this. Yeah. He said, what? I said, you know the one big secret of pool? You know what? He says, never overcut a ball. He slumped down in his seat. The wheels are turning. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Got up in his seat. He says, amazing, fantastic. I never thought of that. That's the most beautiful knowledge I ever heard in my life. That's the greatest thing in the world for pool. Did you think of that? I said, no, I learned from somebody else. He said, it's great. It's unbelievable. I can't believe it. 5 minutes later, 10 minutes later, 15 minutes later. Guido, what? I said, one more secret of pool. What? Just never undercut a ball. The words that came out of his mouth, I can't tell you about it. He knew he'd been had. Just an old guy, that's a great line. And they worked on him, he just fell right in the secret. And then, University of Wisconsin had a mini course program. And I taught that mini course program for 10 years. First at the school, and then they let me bring it in my billiard room, which is very good. I always got 1 or 2 customers out of that. And every course, I tried to teach a little bit about kicking. Count the diamonds, divide it by 2, so forth. In that 8 or 10 years I taught, I got an answer that you're gonna like twice. So they were standing on the other side of the table, and I'd say, now we put a ball on diamond 3, and I'd point at one, and I'd say, where do you shoot on the opposite rail? 1.5, beautiful, good for you. Put the cue ball on 4, now where do you shoot on the opposite rail? 2, great. I said, now put it on 5, 1 diamond past the side pocket. And I'd point to somebody, and I said, this happened 2 times in 10 years. What's half of 5? I'm not into math. Not into math. College and faculty. I would like to speak for a moment as a PBIA person. I have the privilege of living in an upscale retirement community in Arizona. One of the amenities of that community is a first-class billiard room. I have the honor of teaching its members, ranging from first-time players to seasoned advanced players. It gives me great pride to watch them learn, compete, socialize, and just plain enjoy our game, or our sport. Feedback I get from players just beginning is, I wish I would have started when I was younger. We are here tonight as a billiard community, facing many challenges to our sport, its acceptance, its growth, its enjoyment, and its participation in a worldwide arena. Like golf, tennis, and many other sports, the training of our youth enhances the enjoyment of participation in our sport. It also grows our fan base. The training of the next generation will bring the sport of billiards to where it deserves to be. You see this being accomplished by many nations where they are producing world-class players at a very early age. It would be wonderful if our PBA instructors could gain access to the venues necessary to teach the next generation. One idea that stands out in my mind is the colleges. Many are eager for our participation, and many have the facilities already there to give training. I am confident that people here tonight can help make something like this happen. There are 30-some colleges in the U.S. that give credits for learning to play pool. At this time, I would like to recognize any PBIA instructors here. Please stand. Each year, these instructors nominate and vote for one of their own to receive the prestigious Coach of the Year award. And this year, Mr. Finkelstein from New York won that honor. He's not here tonight. I would really like to thank Shane for his tireless work with the PBIA. Shane informs me that there are now over 300 instructors in the world, making it the what? Largest in the world. A few years ago, a PBI instructed player, taught by a BCA guy, me, got a job teaching a billiard class at a small university north of St. Louis. After 1 year of coaching his students, his ladies and men's team dominated every college tournament anywhere in the country that they participated in for 7 or 8 years until he left the college. That person is Mark Wilson. Mark told me that he has received calls from over a dozen colleges asking about starting billiard programs. Hopefully, in the future, we can get some of our great instructors into some of those colleges. Now, thank you for that. I just want that's really important. If we can start something to get instructors in colleges and do things like Mark did. He led the way.
You're here.
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
Pardon?
You're here. Yeah.
I'd like to just tell you a few things that can happen when you take phone calls on people looking for lessons. Hi Jerry, I wanna go pro. Usually when first somebody says, I wanna go pro, if a good player calls, he says, Terry, I'm a 660, I think you could get me up a few notches on that, cargo rating. But when the guy just says, I wanna go pro, that usually means maybe he had a little too much to drink or something. And so, can you make me a pro? And I say, well, you have a full-time job? Yes. No. Now, the next guy will call and say, Jerry, you know, I got to play with these guys at my retirement village or wherever I am. I just can't beat most of them. I think you can. I don't want to be a pro or nothing. Well, so that tells me right away I should leave half my information at home. Let's talk a little bit about, I get a call every year or two from somebody that says, Jerry, I play with these guys at this club and I just can't beat them. You could help me. I said, well, probably can. So we try to get together on a date or something, and I say, are you sure you want to do this? He said, well, I do, but I just want you to promise me you won't tell any of my friends that I took those lessons. You promise? I said, where do you live? He says, Moose Jaw, Alaska. I say, I promise. Every instructor I know loves to teach the kids. When you give a junior a few tips at a tournament, sometimes you can turn the game around 300% in 10 minutes. And they just never learn really what to do. And when you give them, and sometimes doing that, a few hours later they come running back, leading their parents by 20 steps just to say, I won 2 matches, I won 2 matches. And many times the next day, that little person will come back and say, I won my division, I won my division. And one of the joys of teaching is the response you get from the students. Whether it's tuning up Jeanette Lee for the World Games in Japan, which she won, or a 9-year-old girl running over and saying, I won my division, I won my division. The feeling is the same for the teacher. It makes you feel 10 feet tall, good looking, bulletproof. All right? Now, I need a cue stick. Something you never forget, cool. I had 2 guys come in, Charlie and his friend. They were in their 60s, played in the league in southern state, I think Georgia. They loved to play pool, they played in this league. And we were talking about what we're going to do that day, and Charlie steps to the table here and he's going to shoot. He grabs his cue, he's going to shoot a shot. His buddy says, hold it, Charlie. He says, Jerry, I want to tell you something. So I go over to the other side, and Charlie's like this. Charlie gets down and shoot, and he goes, whispers in my ear. Nobody ever stands on the left side of Charlie when he shoots pool. That's the guy, that's so funny. Every time he shot, you never forget that. Real serious. Nobody stands on the left side of Charlie.
Yeah, no kidding.
A couple of things I'd like to mention is there are 2 companies that are so over and beyond to help our sport, Simonis and Diamond. And they just deserve so much credit for decades. There's a gentleman who puts on this every year. What a guy. But every year it gets better, better, better. And he's already, Mark took care of that, so good.
Thank you.
The little USB drive on your table, does everybody have one?
Yeah.
Okay. That's the whole 4.5 hour session of my DVD teaching film. And it's good stuff. It's yours to use for a while, but then you have a mission. You gotta put it in the hands of a future world champion or a Hall of Fame member. Somebody young is aspiring to play pool, doesn't have to be real young, but somebody aspiring to get better at pool, that's whose hands it should end up in. Wouldn't it be nice in 15 or 20 years if somebody stood where I'm saying and somebody said, "Where did you learn to play?" He said, "Well, when I was 15, I was really interested. Somebody gave me a little green drop." That would be special, wouldn't it? And it can happen if you just put it in the right hands. And I think we'll all have I want to thank you all for coming out, making Dennis and my day extra special. God bless you all. Thank you.